Hello and welcome to the North Bank Podcast. I'm your host, Holly, and I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Hello, guys.
Evening.
Hello.
Right, so it's a big one. We're going to go through the squad. And we're going to, what was it, snog, marry, avoid each player? Is that what it... Oh, no, that's a different podcast, sorry. No, it's
That's
keep...
late night North Bank.
Keep the North Bank. Keep, bench, sell. And I'll float a loan option in there somewhere as well. So we'll go through the squad player by player, position by position, and we'll decide amongst the three of us whether we should keep them, bench them or sell them, or possibly loan one or two out if that's relevant. And then, Steph, you're going to talk us through the latest transfer rumours because I know that's something you're really hot on.
Don't start.
No, okay. I will, just before we get into the squad breakdown, it was the 3rd of June. We're 3 days into the transfer window having opened, and Arsenal as a collective fan base has pretty much gone into meltdown. Like, we haven't signed anyone. Oh my God. I mean, there was one guy, I don't know, he's got a lot of followers on TikTok. Never seen him before, but the algorithm sent him my way about an hour and a half ago. And he was like, I'm like, mate, are you okay? like, oh, it's over. It's rubbish. And look, I'm not being completely churlish. When I heard that Brian Mbeumo had decided that he was wanting to go to Manchester United, I did have a little moment because he is a player. And I know, Chris, you've banged his drum a little bit in the past. He is a player that I think would really improve our squad and probably starting 11. Now, he is left-footed. I know this season he's played predominantly from the right-hand side and scored 20 goals and got 8 assists in 38 games. Like, he's had a brilliant season. He's 25, Prem proven, perfect addition, like good attitude, work rate, all of that. Why the hell is he going to United? Or I mean, they might not be able to afford him. It's just he's said that his preference would be United. I mean, it's got to be money, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because they've got, if he wants to play on the right hand side, one of United's best players, apart from Bruno Fernandes, is Amad Diallo. Isn't that his name?
Yeah.
And he plays on the right hand side.
Mm.
No,
Yeah, but
I
he's a
get it.
kid. They want someone for the now a little bit more, so they don't
I think
have
he's
to
22. It's an odd one, I must admit. So I get it. You're watching Liverpool, and they've got Frimpong in for sure. Kirkes is on the way. Wirtz is there. Steph.
Can I just pick you up on something because you're adding fuel to the fire? Do you know how many official confirmed 100% done deals there have been in the Premier League as of now? We're in the second day. It's late on the third.
I can think of 2 in arrivals.
There are 2.
Would that be Frimpong and Cunha?
Nope.
No?
Not done. Not sealed. Not finished. Not finalised. They're not completely done. The only 2 are, as per the BBC website, Dario Esugo from Sporting to Chelsea for 18 million and Romel Donovan from Birmingham City to Brentford for an undisclosed fee. That's it. So all this talk, I mean, look, don't get me wrong, Cunha looks like it's about to be finished. Frimpong to Liverpool looks like it's about to be finished. But nothing's confirmed. So Arsenal fans losing their mind about the fact that nothing's been confirmed, it doesn't mean nothing's happening.
No, but it's not that. It's not. It's as well. It's not that. It's the fact that there is no news, and so there's a vacuum, and that's been filled by agitation and meltdown, and no, I shouldn't say that. But it is like madness. But I get it. I with the Brian Mbeumo one, that was like, I think we need to get somebody who's maybe more suited to the left-hand side, like Semenyo or Nico Williams or someone like that whose natural position is on the left coming in. But you know why Rory Talks did a great. He put a great thing out on TikTok earlier on today. He read a tweet from. I can't know who it was, a big Arsenal in the know Arsenal fan, but not a sensationalist one. And he put out a tweet, and the tweet listed several bullet points about who we were interested in, what positions, and what kind of players were linked. And he said, that tweet's from 12 months ago. And here we are. And his point was like, we've kind of wasted 12 months because this is almost, he then put up another tweet from someone else that almost replicated that tweet, but this one was from today. 12 months later, we're still after the same players. The same players are still being linked. Zubimendi was on both lists. Number 9, Sesko was on both lists. Nico Williams was on both lists. The same kind of players were on both lists. So we've wasted 12 months. And I think if I'm being generous, that's probably what's adding fuel to the fire. It's the fear that this is going, and this like Sesko versus Gyökeres thing. It's like, well, let's just take our time and let Chelsea come in and get Gyökeres and someone else come in and get Sesko. It's like, and I think that's the fear. That certainly would be my fear, that there'll be a degree, because we don't know how Berta works. We don't know how Berta and Arteta are going to work. We knew how Edu worked, and the fact that Edu, someone made a good point, and I can't remember where I heard it about Edu, that he left in November. So he didn't just make a sudden decision, wake up one morning and say, I'm leaving. That would have been on his mind from like way back, and that would have impacted his mind maybe, or his efficiency in the last summer's transfer window. So, and we are, as a club, took our eye off the ball completely. I mean, that's clear to see. Ollie Watkins was in both lists. It's amazing the amount of overlap 12 months down the line. And here we are, exactly the same place with the same players linked. So I think that might be fueling the flames of frustration somewhat, perhaps.
If you were being generous to the club, you could argue that it shows a through line, a consistency in what they want. And I mean, this is the kind of PR line that they would take.
Consistency of ineptitude.
Well, I mean, would you argue that any of those players have kind of become, stale or irrelevant, or we would still take those players that were on the list 12 months ago, and for whatever reason that they weren't available, they're still of interest. So look, I'm not saying one way or t'other what's right. I just think that would be the kind of party line, is that no, we're showing a kind of commitment to what we want. We know we've got this, continuity of thought in terms of what we're building.
Just on that then, Chris, I think because the other thing, and I remember moaning about this before, when what I like about this iteration of Arsenal is they don't just panic buy for the sake of getting a body in. Now, because of the 12-month delay, we've got to a point where that came home to roost somewhat this season because of all the injuries that occurred. So, yes, I like the idea that there should be a plan B and there should be something of a pivot, you would hope. But in terms of where we think we can strengthen and where we think we're already fairly stable, yeah, there's joined up thinking, I suppose. What we need to do is move on and get those deals over the line. And whether that's the owners being a bit reluctant to dip into their deep pockets, whether it's the change in operation from Edu to Berta, we don't know. We haven't got the foggiest idea. But at the same time, yeah, people filling that void with their concerns. And we have said the same. Because I remember, in lots of, whether it's the season review we did recently or whether it was in the run-up to the end of this season, and ultimately not strengthening in January,
yes,
I said, what that's done is made the summer so much more important.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's where people have built up to it and going, right, here we go. Oh, it's not happened on the first day. Oh, now what? Now I'm frustrated.
Yes. We were so frustrated by January. I think that's just augmented the feeling now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I just pull you up on your "we don't panic buy" assertion?
Sterling.
Transfer deadline. I've written 2 names down, Chris. Transfer deadline day last summer, Neto and Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
We
didn't buy them.
But it cost us. Not only did neither of those players contribute anything. Now I know Neto wasn't given the opportunity to because Raya was injury free for the season, but so we needed Neto there as a kind of just in case. We needed him there as a net. Safety nets for Neto? No? Okay. But those 2 loans hobbled us in January because we could not do another loan deal in January. And I would have taken Rashford on loan. Like, I think that was the obvious one. But we just couldn't. Because of the way we managed, we totally mismanaged that goalkeeper situation in last summer. And we're not going to get that goalkeeper again this year. It looks like he's off to Barcelona, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. I'm not invested in him at all. And I always found it a bit odd that he would want to come to us and play second fiddle. No, he doesn't.
He wants to play.
Doesn't. Yeah, he's had a whole season playing. Same with Karl Hein. But actually, do you know what? Let's sod the old transfer rumour mill.
Got all summer to deal with that.
That's a nice little segue into the squad, because I've just referenced Karl Hein, who is our second most senior goalkeeper. So let's start with the squad. Now remember, it's a keep, a bench, a sell, or a potential loan. And we start with the goalkeepers. I've used the Arsenal website squad listings, right? So the 3 goalkeepers I've got written down, and if you guys want to add a goalkeeper, go for it. David Raya, Karl Hein, and is it Tommy? I can't remember. Setford. Yeah. So they're the 3 kind of senior goalkeepers. So I don't think we need to spend too much time ruminating over David Raya. I think that's a guaranteed keep.
100%.
He's a starter. But okay, Steph, where do you sit on Karl Hein?
On his knee is probably the safest
tall.
option. I don't particularly. I think he's been around the academy and out on loan numerous times. I think we might be coming to the end of the road to some extent with Karl Hein. That means that in terms of a third choice keeper, Tommy Setford would step into the fold. I saw Tommy Setford make his debut against Preston in the Carabao Cup last year, and he was all right. He was fine. He was good. But he is seen as more of an academy keeper, really, under 23s. So,
wasn't there that guy at Burnley? Was it Trafford?
Yeah, but yeah.
He was kind of mentioned in passing last summer as well as. And didn't we bid £1 million for someone else, another goalkeeper?
No, we bid about £30,000 for the Wolves' third choice keeper, Darren Pratley. I want to say, I think his name was. Is that right? I can't remember now, but yeah, something like that.
30 grand.
I mean, well, they wanted 50.
All right, okay.
And
we wouldn't stretch to.
No.
Who knows? I don't know. It was something like that. Yeah. So. Fine. So Hein for me is probably a sell. But if we don't get a second choice keeper, all of a sudden he's on the bench.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's the wider context. But it could save us 25 million and keep him there. He's had a whole season playing first team football.
Is he in Spain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are sort of informed by the way the club has treated them. And if you felt like he was someone that they wanted to keep, you'd be thinking, well, fine, keeper. He could be our second choice, but I think I'm with you, Steph. I think he's a sell because it looks like he doesn't have that, future at the club.
Well, if you think of how we treated Emi Martinez, and he's turned out to be quite a decent goalkeeper. And we got rid of Arthur Okonkwo last summer to Wrexham, and he's played all season at Wrexham, and he's now in the Championship, and he's still very young. He's a very good goalkeeper. I mean, he's their first choice goalkeeper, and will probably be in the Championship as well. But it is, it's the wider conversation, I guess. I've written for the 3 of them: Raya keep, Hein bench, and Setford loan. I'd like to see him get some first team action, but again, I don't want to spend 25-30 million on a goalkeeper.
But do you see Hein as the second choice?
I would see him as the second choice, yeah. Because, I mean, how many games did Neto play last season?
2, 1.
And he might have played. He might have played one more, but he was cup-tied, wasn't he?
When he had that brain fart, didn't he, and came out and handballed it.
But he was cup-tied. What was he cup-tied in? The FA Cup. He'd played in the FA Cup for... No, he can't have.
Must have been the Carabao then.
Yeah, he was cup-tied.
Yeah. So it's like our priorities lie elsewhere in the team, like first 11, strengthening the first 11, the starting 11. But there's a potential issue with the goalkeeper, as in not the first choice goalkeeper, but an injury to David Raya. And yeah, I mean, I don't want Karl Hein facing. Having said that, cast your minds back if you're old enough. Alex Meninga came in as an unheard of goalkeeper and was instrumental in us chasing down United and winning the league. So, you know, I don't know, the history's long and rich of players who've taken advantage of injuries to others. Ashley Cole at left back springs to mind as an obvious one. It wasn't necessarily an injury, but more of a passport issue.
Mishap, yeah.
Ahead of him. But okay, so goalkeepers, question mark, but we're all agreed on David Raya as a keep for obvious reasons. Okay, defenders. One thing doing this, we've only got 20 squad members really, and it's quite a small squad. I know, obviously Jorginho and Tierney have gone. Sorry. So defenders.
I've got Tierney down as keep. I just thought
It's too
Bring
late,
him back.
Stef.
Fifth section.
It's too late, Stef. So the defenders are Saliba, Gabriel, White, Timber, Kiwior, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu and Calafiori, with Tavares out on loan. Right. Surprise me. Saliba. Do you think there's any player in our squad that we might need to cash in, or we could cash in on to strengthen the team elsewhere? Do you think, would you, like Saliba's, I'm not saying that would be Saliba, but is there any player that...
Well, read them out and maybe we'll come...
In the short term, no.
No.
Not for me.
Okay, well, I'll have that comment. Yeah, maybe as we get
when we
further
get to
up
the front
fields.
line,
Yes, yeah. Okay, so Saliba's a keep, Gabriel's a keep, Ben White's a keep, Timber's a keep.
Yep.
Right? They're the definite keeps. Kiwior's next up.
I've got him down as a keep.
So what's a bench?
Well, okay, so to me, he's a bench. He is a squad player.
So I've written bench.
Okay, I've written bench then. Yeah, fine. Sorry, I didn't think about that. So he's a bench because he is a more than able deputy, which is why I said recently that I could understand if he wants to leave, because he is clearly good enough to start for
any team.
Take your pick, essentially, of clubs across Europe. So... That
in any league,
cool. But for us, to have that, after Saliba and Gabriel would be unreal.
Chris,
I think he's a bench, and again with that caveat almost of like, is the player happy to stay? And assuming he is, and he's not going to make waves and be pushing, then I would keep him within the squad, and sadly on the bench, but. If we're hoping for a bit of rotation next season and he's proved himself, I would hope that he'd be getting more games, without having to wait for Gabriel to be injured.
Yeah. Are you confident?
I don't know. No, I'm not at this stage, no, because I think Mikel's got, a bit of learning to do on that one. Got to have more faith in his squad.
Stick with you, Chris. What about Zinchenko?
He's a sell for me. Yeah. I think we've talked about this many times, about how he was the that wave of like the Ramsdale, he was part of that kind of rebuild, and Jesus, came in, gave us that kind of propulsion into the top four, but we've kind of moved past him, and he's great, inverted commas, squad player, but I do think he's one that we could, if there is some cash to be made, we could move him on.
But again, a bit like Kiwior, Arteta could have used him more, couldn't he? In not at left back,
not even at left back, in midfield possibly as well. But I've got him down as a bench. My reasoning being that our squad isn't big enough to shed too much at the moment. well, possibly yet. You're absolutely right. But I absolutely take the point that actually, if there's a relatively decent fee involved for him to go elsewhere, that could then also perhaps be reinvested to strengthen elsewhere. My only worry is Tierney's definitely off, of course, but look at who remains as whether it's left back cover or maybe even stepping into midfield. You know, Tomiyasu, who by all accounts isn't likely to be fit for the remainder of this calendar year, and then Calafiori, a player whose fitness just keeps having those setbacks. So I'm not sure we're quite ready to let Zinchenko go as well as a Tierney, because then ultimately we're left with Mars Lewis Skelly, who's 18.
Or Timber, by using Ben White as right back. You know,
but we used him too much probably last season.
Yes, we did. But if it's
White
only for cover,
yeah, I know. Yeah,
I don't know. I take your point. You know, he loves a left back, doesn't he? So if he did sell Zinchenko, go out and get another one, wouldn't he?
Well, I think there's the Ajax player, isn't there?
Yeah, there's rumour. Hato.
Hato, yeah. But he's played this season as a left centre back as well. So he's got versatility there also. But kind of Calafiori was that purchase last year. How long has Zinchenko got left on his contract? Is it 1 year?
I don't know.
I've just tried to look it up. I can't find it. I've got him down as a sell. I think he's one of the ones we could cash in on. Just because Arteta doesn't use him, and we want more bodies in. Maybe, you know, he's brilliant for us, and he'll go, you know, with all the best wishes from the entire Arsenal fan base as well, and wish him every success. Really nice guy, great character, love his celebrations, love how mental he goes. He was very emotional, big Arsenal fan.
I can't remember what victory it was, but he's there driving past. It might have been against Spurs.
Tolly,
driving past the Tollington, beeping his horn and singing the songs. Yeah, I mean, instant cult hero. Love it.
Yeah. So sell with sadness. Like I'd love him to be more prominent in the squad, and I'd love him to stay for another 5, 6, 7 years. You know, but as a prominent member of the first team. But he's not. You mentioned Tomiyasu, Chris. What about him?
I mean, we say sell, and you know, as brutal as it sounds, but I don't even know whether we'd be able to sell him. It would be a sort of termination of contract and good luck. But I just don't think we can rely on him anymore. So yeah, we would, if we're being ruthless, you have to let him go.
Chris, Stef, sorry.
I mean, I've got him down as a bench because simply, I think because of his fitness status at the moment, like you say, you wouldn't be able to sell him. I mean, we'll come on to the attackers later in the same situation with Jesus, but so therefore he's a bench. I think ultimately, if that fitness can't be proven long term, like you say, he's not going to feature. So therefore, needs to be made way, which is such a shame because at his best, I remember him being played at left back in replacement of Zinchenko against Liverpool 2 seasons ago, because basically they wanted someone who could like dominate him, especially in the air. We were expecting diagonal balls across to Salah against Liverpool at home, and Tomiyasu just beasted him. He was absolutely brilliant. We've just not seen it much more, which is such a shame.
Yeah, I've got him as a bench as well, just because. I mean, if he stays fit, then he's a keep. He's a bench as well, but he's like he's a not sell. So it's just whether that's likely or not. It's sad.
It is.
His story is sad. Again, really nice character by all accounts, and just criminal luck with injury. And the final defender then is Calafiori. Speaking of injury-prone players, Steph,
I've got him down as a bench. When he's been good, I really like him. I think he.
What position?
All of them. He's the Italian Perry Groves. He's everywhere.
We all live in a Calafiori world.
Exactly. Because when he plays at left back, he's up and down. Sometimes he comes inside. Sometimes he goes out. I mean, we had moments last season when he seemed to end up in the number 9 position. Even when he had a short spell, what was the last time? Was it Newcastle? where he featured, or was it the game before? I can't remember. But he was at centre back and seemed to then drift into midfield. I think he could be fantastic, but he's got to prove himself. Look, he's been here a short amount of time. Tomiyasu's been here a bit longer, so that might be a more pressing decision on whether we persist with his fitness. But Calafiori will be given time, so he's a bench.
He could play at left centre back as well. Like
Exactly.
it could be an option there if Gabriel or if Kiwior is sold, for example. Like Calafiori can fit in there. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, for me, he's like a keep/bench because we've seen these flashes of brilliance, and he's not an automatic left back choice, of course, but I sort of see him as the sort of the left side of a three if we ever went to that sort of shape. But yeah, he's got that. I want to see him improve defensively, but I love that cavalier attitude, and obviously the hair and the cheekbones just cap it off.
His interview about his celebration after he scored at Man City is hilarious. Like the guy interviewing was like, "Who were you pointing at?" He said, "I don't know. I wasn't pointing at anyone, and I was doing this. I was like fighting someone. I don't know who it was. I was just so excited. I didn't know what to do." It was
forgive him after that goal, don't you?
yeah. Well, I mean, I referenced that as I think one of my goals of the season in terms of quality of goals and put timing as well. Okay, I've got him down as keep/bench as well. I think we've got a very, very strong starting 11 if Calafiori's on the bench, and that's good. That's kind of how you want to measure your team, by the strength of the bench. If your bench is like wow.
Well, I think we've all seen that what we'd like is a rotating cast of White, Timber on one side, MLS and Calafiori on the other. That would be lovely.
Sorry, Stef, you said MLS.
Yeah, I did.
It's contagious.
It's fine. Because
it's written down on my list here.
But you're right, Steph. And that is what we want, and we need to get out of that mindset of thinking that there's a drop off, because they're very different and they bring you different things. And,
Well, yeah. I mean, Timber and White. I think Timber plays against the tougher opposition, and White plays against the
low blocks.
Yeah, because he's the
going
more
forward,
attacking.
he's so wily, isn't he?
He's the more attacking threat.
So isn't it funny then that 18-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly, he probably plays against the tougher opposition, and Calafiori plays against the low blocks? What a breakthrough season. I'm
not sure. I think Lewis-Skelly plays against both.
Well, yeah.
He's that good.
He is that good.
I think he's that good. I think defensively he's for an 18-year-old.
But let's not break him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No.
Have you seen the little video of Ian Wright pulling up on his motorbike? And
I haven't watched it yet.
Calling Miles over, and Miles comes over and he's just sort of taking the piss out of Ian Wright on it. Is this Ian Wright off this bike?
I love him.
I mean, he's probably like a dad to him, though, isn't he? Like he's Uncle Wright.
There's a lot of love there. There's a lot of love.
Now, midfielders. This won't take long.
Well, did we not talk about Tavares?
Oh, Tavares, I've written him down. Tavares, Steph.
Sell.
Yeah.
Sell.
Lazio, 9 million. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And they're selling him on for 20.
But we get 25% of that sell-on fee as well, so we will cash in there. Yeah, sell. That was a quick one. Midfielders also will be quick, because I've only got 4 written down as per the Arsenal website, and they are Partey, Ødegaard, Merino and Rice, with Vieira and Lokonga on loan. So, do you want to take them as a batch, Steph? The 4 of them: Partey, Ødegaard, Merino, Rice. I mean,
they're all, in footballing terms, they're all keeps. I'll say that.
Yeah, we're not getting any money for Partey, so he's either going on a free or he's staying for another 2 years.
So there's another caveat comes into play here, whereby we're anticipating who's coming in as like a signing. So if, for example, Zubimendi happens, does that affect your choice of whether Partey stays or goes?
For me, no.
Or goes on the bench?
Yeah, no, for me, no.
Wise, no.
So he's still a starter, or is he on the bench?
Again, like
or are we talking squad rotation?
Well, like if Calafiori's on your bench, you've got a strong starting 11. If Partey's on your bench, you've got a very strong starting 11 in midfield, and that's kind of where you want to go. Again, whoever plays in the party role, so if it is Zubimendi, who incidentally gave a really odd interview in Spanish media today.
He was on the beach or something, wasn't there, as well?
Yeah, well, he did that he posted those pictures of him on the beach as a response to the rumours that he was having a medical at Arsenal. Not the most reassuring if you've hung your hat on him coming in. I mean, I'm quite happy for him not to come if we pivot to Adam Wharton from Palace, for example. So it's like I'm not wedded to Zubimendi only because his first name's Martin, and that would be two Martins in the starting 11. So I'm on board with that. Has that ever happened before?
Martin Hayes and Martin Keown.
I'm sure they crossed over. I was thinking of them too. I'm sure they must have shared a picture at some point. So we've gone up a level. Sorry, boys. But anyway. Yeah, okay, go on, Steph. So Rice is obviously a keep and Ødegaard's a keep, right? Obviously. Marino and Partey then?
Well, I mean, Partey's a keep. I think Partey and Zubimendi are similar to the conversation we just had about the likes of Timber and White. Partey's against those stronger opposition who are going to look to, put us under the cosh, because we did miss him in that first game against PSG. Whereas Zubimendi might be that player who's a bit more progressive with his passing, better range of passing that I know about. I mean, I don't really know, but can maybe help break down a more defensive setup. I don't know. And therefore, Marino is a bench, I suppose.
Just on that, the style commentary I've heard about Zubimendi is that he will do what Partey does but quicker, and so that would work against the tougher opposition because they're going to have more of the ball against us, and so that quick turnaround is going to be, and he operates really, really well in tight spaces, and he's quick, as in with the ball, not necessarily in speed like running. So yeah, and you could play the two of them against away at City or Liverpool or whatever, but I think it's probably be either or, Zubimendi and Partey with Rice a little bit further forward, a little bit kind of unleashed a little bit, which would be, I think, play to Rice's strengths a little bit more. But yeah, footballing wise, Partey would be a keep just footballistically. But there'll be no tears shed if he does go. So there's that. Marino, Steph, you had him on the bench. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, exactly. Keep / bench for Partey on that rotation sort of basis, and definitely bench for Marino. He's not a starter for me.
Again, if he's on the bench, it says a lot about your. Yeah. That's all about raising the level of the first 11. And so, Chris, the two midfielders we've got out on loan, Vieira and Lokonga. I think we've just extended Lokonga's. We've taken up the option of the year on him just so we can command a fee for him. I think that's the idea with that. So, Chris, what about those two?
They can both go with my blessing.
Okay. Yeah. And hopefully a large incoming check.
Well, yeah, but just get our money back anywhere close to it. But it hasn't worked with either of them. I think
did we pay 27 million quid for Vieira or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, that was a bit chunkier, I think.
Lokonga was like 8 million, it's a free hit almost. Yeah. You will get that money back for him. I think he's done all right, but he's had a bit of an injury-plagued season. But yeah, I'd sell both of those to Steph.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah.
And also, there are some of these players as well where there is a world where maybe they could contribute something, but Arteta's not interested, so sell, yeah. Could
Vieira have mitigated some of our injuries this season had he been with us?
Possibly, and then a lot of us also spoke about the fact, we probably knew about Smith Rowe not having that. He had such a disrupted season before, so, and also that thing of he's come through our academy, so all he is profit to us in that PSR world that we now live in. And so it was always likely to be him over Vieira. But boy, yeah, we could have done with, the one that stayed, even if it was here and there. Might have made the difference.
It did seem a bit of a gamble letting both Vieira and Smith Rowe go at the same time, and no replacement, and no willingness to play Ranieri in that position either. It seemed, and it was a gamble.
We muddled when Odegaard got injured fairly early in the season. We muddled with the false nine of Trossard coming in and Havertz dropping back, which worked in some games. I remember the Spurs game in particular. Was pretty good, but it wasn't the setup that we wanted. The team wasn't playing sort of what felt naturally, and played into that whole thing.
Set piece FC that saved us during that period.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why Gabriel's so important. Yeah, of course.
Okay, strikers. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz, and on loan Nelson. Okay, we don't need to talk about Saka, but there's a conversation about all the others.
Can I add an extra category? Can I? We've got obviously keep, bench, and sell. Can I have over my dead body? Do we do anything other? Because Saka is that player.
Yeah.
Where just no.
Build a statue.
Yeah, exactly.
He will have a statue.
Yeah.
We just don't know exactly the celebration, the pose.
He'll be on an inflatable unicorn.
No, that was for England. That was away at England.
I've got a T-shirt with that on. Come on.
It's iconic.
Okay. Let's go with this. Okay, potentially the slightly more contentious one. Martinelli. Stef.
As the squad stands at the moment, keep 100%.
Okay. Chris.
Yeah, for me as well. He's a keep/bench, given that we know that that's a position we can strengthen. So again, with that caveat of will we bring someone in on the left?
Don't even couch it in such tentative terms as
we will.
Will we? Yes,
we will.
Not will we? Please.
Okay. So yeah, that for me, because he's not nailed on starter. If we are looking to improve in that position, so for me, it's a kind of keep/bench. But I wouldn't sell him.
As I said about Calafiori, I want Martinelli starting our most important games on the bench. I just think that makes our first 11 stronger. I won't sell him. But I don't want, and I know he ended the season really, really well. I know he did, but I still need more than that, because he's had a season and 3 quarters of plateauing, and that's been kind. And I know he's had injury issues. I get that, and I would love him to be to our left hand side what Saka has become to our right hand side. I would love that to have been him. Because again, I think he gets us. He gets the club. He loves the club. His work rate, his effort, his energy, all top notch. It's just that end product. And in the position he's in, that's the most important part of that position, is that end product. He should be scoring and assisting a lot more than he is. And look, if we go into the first game in September and we haven't strengthened on the left-hand side, then I hope he continues the way he finished this season, and I'll support him in that. I'll back him in that. I just want us to have upgraded in that position this summer. I just think that's as important as the number 9. If you ask, who was it? One of the guys on Arsenal Vision podcast talking about PSG. And he was saying that, who's their creator in midfield? Well, Fabian Ruiz is the biggest creator in the PSG midfield, and he's way below Odegaard in his XA for assisting and creating goals. But he's the most creative in the PSG. So Pedro and Vitinha are lower than him again. So who does the creation in that PSG team? It's the front 3. It's Doué, Dembele, the Georgian. Yeah, thank you.
Bless you.
And Barcola when he plays. It's that they're the creators. So who are the creators in our team? Well, Ødegaard, Saka. Right, it should be Havertz, it should be Martinelli. But it will be whoever comes in that number 9 and that wide left player position as well.
Well, I was just going to add about Martinelli, who I do love, and I think he has had a great end to the season. But we do know we can strengthen on the left-hand side. He showed himself in a couple of those games, particularly in Liverpool in the second half, where he can play across the front line. So just because someone comes in that looks to maybe raise things on the left doesn't mean that he can't deputise for Saka on occasion, can't deputise for Havertz, or the question mark centre forward that we're supposedly going to be buying as well. So all of that, that thing we've talked about when City had that rolling cast of essentially 2 starting 11s, we want to get a bit further along to that, because like you say, when we looked at the numbers here, this is a small squad that has had a lot of young players on the bench, and that's where we know the weaknesses. So Martinelli has to be this talk of him being a valuable asset that we could cash in on. I get, yes, but actually I think to be a really successful team, you've said it, Marino on the bench, that's not bad. Okay, whether it's White and Calafiori on the bench, that's not bad. Kiwior, brilliant. Martinelli, wow. All of a sudden, if that's our bench, given what our first 11 would be, you're in business now.
I owe an apology to 2 players that weren't obviously on the first team squad list on the Arsenal website.
Missed one.
I've missed 2. Well, I've obviously blatantly missed one, and I could get away with not saying I'd missed the second one, but I have. Miles Lewis-Skelly. Obviously, he's a keep, but I didn't list him in the defenders.
Well,
you two didn't call me out on that. Yeah, we mentioned him.
We just assumed.
And Ethan Nwaneri, I haven't mentioned him as the attackers.
That was the one I thought you missed.
But he wasn't on there. He wasn't on.
Do you think they're still classified as youth players?
Youth, I think they are. Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't updated it on that, which is mad. But I've written him down now, though. He was always there. So Martinelli, yeah. I mean, I've written down bench. I don't want to sell him because I think he could be indicative of the strength of our squad if there's a better player than him, a more productive player than him on the left, which is one of the reasons why someone like Mbeumo saying he would rather go to United is just a bit disappointing. I'd like to see what, because again, he's got that work rate, that ethic, the good attitude, and he's a really productive player. His output is in a mid-table Brentford team. That's pretty impressive. Okay, Trossard.
You should go first on that one.
You should.
Sell. I think that's you're looking for players to generate a bit of money, and I think he's got a bit of value in him, like Zinchenko, and I would sell him. And again, obviously, I don't want to be starting next season, let alone starting September, but starting next season where we're predicting our team for the first game and the second game, and it's a toss up between Trossard and Martinelli on the left hand side. It's like, have we learned nothing?
Can I put on a bet now? I think you will. I'm calling
because we haven't signed anyone, or because they're just not up to speed.
Because we haven't signed anyone
on the left hand side.
Yeah, I can see a striker coming of some sorts, and if I'm still very sketchy about the Zubimendi deal, and that might not be much more than that. That's what I think. And there's rumours already that they're going to extend Trossard's contract, take him to 34 because they're really pleased with his availability.
Listen, I just think if it would help us get over the line with a bigger fee for a left-sided player than, getting, 15 million for him. I don't know. I don't know how. It depends on where he'd go and who's buying him. But he got double. I can't remember. I've written it down before. He got 11 goals this season in all competitions and like 4 or 5 assists. It's like, he didn't play every game. He didn't start every game. He's definitely goals in him for a a mid-table Premier League team where he'd be a regular starter. I'd tempt to say at a team like Brighton, to be fair, where we got him from. But in a bigger European league, he's got plenty to offer still. I just want a better player than him. That's right. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. 100%. I think there's a ceiling raiser out there. I think he's coming to that age as well where you're looking at potentially a drop-off pretty soon. So it's a sell for me.
Havertz, obviously a keep.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I know I've heard Gunner Blog say quite a few times, that irrespective of what striker we get in, be it, especially if it's Sesko, that he believes that Havertz will play a lot more game. Havertz will start the first game of the season up front with Sesko on the bench. I mean, just even saying that. So I like the bench. I like the bench. That's strong. The team's going to be worried about our bench, which is always the way it was when we were successful. Benches win games, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So same story, same conversation with Tomiyasu, really.
I think so.
Yeah.
With his ACL, it's going to be the autumn at probably the earliest with his rehabilitation. In the meantime, you probably can't. Well, you can't sell him essentially. So you're either looking at trying to make a move happen for him in January, or keep him on as a squad player. Again, I don't know what his contract situation is, how long he's got left in particular. Look, he came back. He had those couple of, glorious games against Crystal Palace. There is still a player there. But like you say, he's a bit like Zinchenko in that the project may have moved on beyond him. And then it's just been such an unlucky period with illness. But he's a bench just through circumstance, I think.
Chris?
I think it's just to echo what we said about Tomiyasu. If you gave me either of those players, Tomiyasu or Jesus, fully fit, you could guarantee they would come back in fully fit, hit the ground running. Of course, bench, part of the squad. But I can't see it happening. So for me, it's let them go.
Yeah, I mean, if you gave me a fully fit Tomiyasu, I'm keeping him, bench. But if you gave me a fully fit Jesus, I'm cashing in on him.
Mm.
I just think he went so many games without scoring, didn't he? And then he had that purple patch, like he scored 4 goals in 3 games, primarily against Crystal Palace. But and I think he's a player. I think if he hadn't got injured, he would definitely be sold this summer, because he would be a player that would probably want more playing time himself at another club. But also he's a player that we could really cash in on, because he is an exciting player, and he is, for another team, he would be a very effective, potent striker, perhaps. He does, and what I love. I mean, I think he's been brilliant for Arsenal. I loved him, but it's that chaos. That's what's great about him. It's that kind of, well, what's he going to do? Like, come on, get up on. I mean, we're standing up anyway, but he'll get you off your seats.
Yep.
We don't have that. No. So, and Ethan.
I mean, he's a bench purely because of his age, but we all want to see him. I mean, he had a good amount of minutes this year for such a young player. That will hopefully be increased. Be good.
Yeah.
It's obviously.
Yeah, keep / bench.
Worry about the way he ended the season. He was clearly held back, wasn't he?
Yes.
I think. So
he was managed for whatever reason.
Yeah. Hopefully that's just protection, and he can come back. He's playing. He's away with England, one of the younger age groups, I think, at the moment. So fingers crossed we have him all good for next year.
I think we're done. Oh, Reece Nelson.
Well, Marquinhos as well.
He's gone.
But he's sort of gone, isn't it? It is a loan, but it's essentially because they want the fee will come in the next accounting period or something ridiculous like that. I don't know. Yeah, Nelson.
Is he fit again yet? Do we know?
No, I don't think he is. He had 2 operations whilst he was at Fulham. Yeah,
I think he had both hammies.
Both hammies.
How does that happen?
Can't blame Arteta for that.
Yes, you can.
Well, not with any real justification, I can't. But
do you know, I heard I hate talking about transfer rumours, but Fulham are interested in Joel Willock. So they really are putting the Arsenal band back together. Iwobi, Nelson, Smith-Rowe, Leno. Yeah. Wow. Nelson Sal.
Yes.
Sal. Yeah, I don't know what his contract situation is. I know he signed a new 4-year contract maybe 2 years ago now, perhaps. So he'd still command it, but again, he's just got a poor injury record now, and so that will factor into any fee a club's prepared to stump up for him. But yeah, so have I missed any other players out? I don't think I have. But...
No, but I do have some info about the academy. Yes. So knowing
who should we look out for?
Exactly. Knowing we were doing this keep, bench, sell criteria, look, I'm not an expert, so I contacted the person that is, and that is Jeorge Bird, who's on Twitter mostly, reporting on all things academy-based. He's absolutely brilliant in the coverage that's given over there. So I put it to him, and he took the time to respond, a lovely response to that about, from the academy, who is likely to be kept in the sense that might also then be involved in the first team squad. We clarified bench really about being who's likely to go out on loan to get more minutes to aid their development and who is going to be sold. He said the headline grabber at the moment is Dowman, Max Dowman. Is he 14, 15?
He's 15. He was New Year's Eve. He turned 15.
He's a fetus. He's just. Yeah, exactly. Dowman could certainly get a chance if he impresses in pre-season.
Yeah.
He said there's another player who, I have to admit, completely passed me by. I don't know who he is. Harriman Anu, a talented striker, might also get some minutes. Now, I must admit, when I first read that, I said, if they're going to use him instead of buying a new striker, that will be rather frustrating. But I think they're just impressed by someone in the academy, a striker that's coming through, so they're going to play him. In terms of loans, Kiwior, who we did see a lot of on the bench. Now, I thought he's 21, 22.
Yeah,
So, yeah, maybe they see that he could develop a bit further down the line, so a loan could help that. My favourite, purely based on the name, Maldini Kakuri.
And he's a centre-back.
He's a big centre-back, yeah.
Tank, isn't he?
He's absolutely brilliant. I hope he comes through. But he could be put out onto loan, as might Nichols.
He's played a couple of games, didn't he?
Yes, he did. If he manages to stay fit as well. And then he said quite a lot of players, as is always the case year on year, who are going to leave, including Henry Francis, Butler Oyedeji, who we saw again a couple of times on the bench, and Edwards as well. So thank you for taking the time to get a response to us, George. And yeah, everyone should look out for Jeorge Bird on Twitter for all things academy.
Yay.
Is there a Blackburn Rovers striker, 18 years old, we've apparently put in £1 million bid for? So I think it's, again, I know that Mertesacker has been given a fair whack of money to strengthen the academy, and it's something that I think Man City do it, Chelsea do it. I mean, Chelsea buy so many players, loan them back, and then get them coming in over the next year or 2 years. But obviously, it is funny though, isn't it? Chido Obi Martin. He was the academy striker hope. But there's nobody else. I mean, that name there you've just mentioned from Jeorge Bird.
Harriman Anu.
Yeah, I'd not heard of him, so I'll have a little Google on him later.
Well, look at Chido at United. United are going out and they're strengthening. Normally, you build from the back, but they seem to be building from the front with Cunha and Mbeumo. So clearly, that's an area they feel they need to strengthen. So that puts Chido even further down the pecking order.
Well, he had quite a few opportunities, but I'm delighted personally that he didn't score. Or assist. Good. The grass is not always greener, you greedy sod.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did I say that out loud? I think I might have. Dear. Right, okay. Look, we've gone through the squad. I think our next one's got to be about transfers, Steph, hasn't it?
Well, it's not on our schedule, but we can.
Or is it not? Damn it!
We can figure that out.
I'll drop in some.
We'll always update with some transfer news.
Yeah, I'll drop in some high quality TikToks about transfer news over the next few days. Definitely.
Good idea. Everyone can follow us on at North Bank Pod on TikTok, Instagram, BlueSky.
We're big on TikTok.
Yeah, well,
27,000 followers, remarkably. So get on there. That's where it's at. Anyway, right, brilliant, lovely. Thank you very much. I think we've sorted out the squad. I hope Arteta's taking notes and acts accordingly. Buy a striker and a left winger and a left back. Buy a left back. If you get a striker and a left winger, you can have a left back.
You can never have enough left backs.
No, absolutely. All right, cheers, guys, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and catch up with us again in a few days' time. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by the Podcast Company.